Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Dahlia Iris. So today's lesson is going to be on PTSD and hypertension. So on today's lesson, we're going to talk about understanding the body's stress response, understanding how PTSD impacts the body's stress response system, and understanding the connection between PTSD and hypertension. Okay, so perception of a situation will determine how your brain will respond. When you perceive a situation as stressful, you activate your body's stress response system. So when you perceive a threat, the amygdala, a part of the brain involved in processing emotions, especially fear, gets activated. The activated amygdala sends a distress signal to the hypothalamus. This communication happens through neural pathways, specifically via the bed nucleus of the striae terminalis, BNST, and other connections within the brain. The hypothalamus, which controls many of the body's involuntary functions, acts as the command center. It receives a distress signal from the amygdala and responds by activating the sympathetic nervous system. So, for example, your amygdala is like, oh my gosh, hypothalamus, there's danger, sound the alarms, right? And your hypothalamus gets that message and goes, say less, I got you. And then it triggers the rest of your body's stress response system. A lot of us know it as our fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response as well. So the adrenal glands and adrenaline are very connected to this next sequence of events, okay? So the sympathetic nervous system, after the amygdala sounds the alarm in the brain, and then it tells it to the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus activates the sympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system sends signals through the nerve pathways to the adrenal glands. And those adrenal glands sit on top of your kidneys. And this is in response to that activation, the adrenal glands release adrenaline or epinephrine into your bloodstream. Okay? So adrenal glands are essentially small triangular glands located on top of your kidneys. If you see the image right here, they produce various hormones. So that includes adrenaline and epinephrine, which play a critical role in your body's stress response. Sorry, I need some water. The hypothalamus sends signals through the sympathetic nerves to the adrenal glands. These signals travel down your spinal cord because that's where your nerve pathways are. And then those nerve fibers reach all the way to your adrenal glands. There are two parts of your adrenal glands. They have the adrenal cortex, which is the outer portion of your adrenal gland, and then you have the adrenal medulla, which is responsible for the production of the adrenaline. So when the sympathetic nerves stimulate that adrenal medulla, it responds by releasing adrenaline into your bloodstream. So what are the effects of adrenaline? Adrenaline causes the blood vessels to constrict or narrow, especially in areas like your skin, digestive system, and kidneys. This helps redirect the blood flow to vital organs such as your heart, lungs, and muscles. So let's dive deeper into that. So when the adrenal medulla releases adrenaline and a smaller amount of noradrenaline directly into the bloodstream, it quickly travels to various organs and tissues, triggering several physiological changes. We have increase in our heart rate. The adrenaline makes your heart beat faster and pump more blood to muscles and vital organs. Your blood vessels will constrict, causing some blood vessels to increase in blood pressure and redirecting blood flow to essential areas like your muscles and your brain. You get a boost of energy because the adrenaline stimulates the liver to release glucose or sugar into the blood, providing a quick source of energy for the body. And finally, our airways dilate. The adrenaline relaxes the muscles around the airways, making breathing easier and increasing oxygen intake. Now, when we think about it rationally in a stressful situation, right, when we're fight, flight, or freeze, we need our muscles to run faster, jump higher. We need to be able to breathe with ease, and we need the energy to accomplish that. So, this stress response is very efficient. We also experience an increase in blood pressure. So, when the blood vessels constrict, the space for blood flow becomes narrower. And it increases the resistance of the blood against the vessels. As a result, your blood pressure is going to rise to ensure that enough blood reaches your vital organs and muscles to help you respond to the stressful situation. So, an increase in blood pressure due to stress is something that is very helpful to the body's stress response function. Okay, so now we're going to dive into continuing to respond to stress. And this is where we start to enter kind of a danger zone. All right, so if stress continues, the hypothalamus activates the HPA axis, and that's the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, leading to the release of cortisol, a stress hormone that helps maintain the stress response over a longer period of time. It keeps our body in this cycle of stress. So, cortisol is a steroid hormone that is essential for life. We need it. So, we hear a lot of things on health and wellness platforms that say, oh, you know, so many bad things about cortisol, but we need it like for everyday functioning. Okay. Now it's produced by those adrenal glands, one located on each top of each one of your kidneys. And it is the body's main glucocortisol that has many functions. And it includes the stress response. So the cortisol increases the blood sugar levels and improves the brain's use of glucose and makes substances available to repair tissues in your body. It also slows down non-essential or harmful functions during fight or flight response. Your immune function is also impacted by cortisol because it helps maintain the body's immune system. It helps reduce inflammation and regulates your body's metabolism. It also helps to maintain your blood pressure. So we can see we don't need to get rid of cortisol because you can't, but we do need to help maintain that level of homeostasis within our body's system. So now let's talk about chronic PTSD, something that I suffer from. So this is near and dear to my heart. So those, such as myself, that suffer from chronic PTSD, it has a significant impact on the body's stress response system, leading to long-term changes and potential health problems. In individuals with chronic PTSD, the brain is in a constant state of alert, frequently perceiving threats even when they're not there. This means that the amygdala continuously signals the hypothalamus to activate the sympathetic nervous system. So your amygdala keeps saying, "Oh my God, there's danger," and and the hypothalamus keeps saying, "Look, I got you, I got you, I got you," and it keeps shooting that cycle, constricting your blood from the rest of your non-essential organs, and it's going to do everything it can to keep you safe, even if there is no danger. And so doing that consistently starts to wear on your body. So this ongoing activation of the sympathetic nervous system leads to frequent release of adrenaline and cortisol. High levels of these stress hormones over a long period of time can have detrimental effects on your body. Overstimulation of the HPA axis can lead to dysregulation. All right. This HPA axis imbalance is usually caused by chronic PTSD. And chronic PTSD can just disrupt the normal functioning of the HPA axis. This results in abnormal cortisol levels, which are high or low. Okay, both of these conditions are problematic. High cortisol can suppress the immune system, increase your blood pressure, and contribute to weight gain, particularly around the abdomen. So that's when we go back into the health and wellness sector, where we hear a lot of people speak on the impact that cortisol has on our body, because it starts with that stress response being repeatedly active, and that adrenal gland just kicking out high levels of cortisol. Low cortisol can also lead to fatigue, depression, and increased sensitivity to stress, which is counterproductive, because what will it do? It will start the cycle back over. So this consistent pinging of our sympathetic nervous system also impacts our blood vessels and our heart, because we know, as a part of our normal stress response, the blood vessels constrict, right? And then it increases our heart rate, pumping blood more forcefully through the body to ensure that we have the energy we need to get out of danger. So that constant high level of adrenaline and cortisol cause prolonged constriction of the blood vessels, leading to chronically high blood pressure or hypertension, which is what I suffer from as well. So this is where we tap into understanding PTSD-induced hypertension. So hopefully now you guys are starting to see the connection, because many people, when they get word from their physicians that they have hypertension, they're usually inundated with dietary things, right? Oh, you have too much salt, or you're not eating healthy. But for people such as myself, who don't really eat things high in sodium, I run my own garden, eat fresh fruits and vegetables every day, I exercise. It's confusing when our blood pressure does not remain low, or maintain a steady, healthy level. Okay. And we don't ever get the conversation about how suffering from PTSD or prolonged stress impacts our high blood pressure. And just over time, we know this is detrimental. So if we're not really addressing the root cause, which is the stress or PTSD-induced stress, we are putting extra strain on the heart and blood vessels, constantly being triggered through our sympathetic nervous system. And that prolonged stress can contribute to the buildup of plaque on the arteries, also known as atherosclerosis, which increases the risk of heart disease and stroke. So what are some of those other risks to our health? So we talked about cardiovascular issues, right? So persistent high blood pressure and heart rate can increase the risk of heart attack and just a number of cardiovascular problems. It can also lead to metabolic issues, such as insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. Our immune system, right, being suppressed, because that's what happens with high levels of stress, it can weaken it due to the high cortisol levels, making our bodies more susceptible to infections and illnesses. Okay? And finally, let's discuss the psychological and behavior effects of having chronic stress. So chronic activation of the stress response can exacerbate anxiety and depression. And this creates a cycle of stress that's really hard to break. Individuals with chronic PTSD might turn to unhealthy behaviors such as smoking, alcohol drinking, overeating, which can just further harm their health. So we're seeing this trend of downward spiral from our normal functioning response to stress. And when that stress response continues in this vicious cycle, and it is very challenging to break through that cycle, to get our body to go, okay, you are safe. All right, so we'll dive into that in a whole nother topic when we're trying to figure out how do we break this cycle so that we can then experience a level of stability internally, mentally and emotionally, and also spiritually. Okay, everyone, so time to wrap it up. quick summary. So chronic PTSD keeps the stress response system constantly active, leading to an overproduction of the stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. This ongoing stress can dysregulate the HPA axis, causing chronic hypertension, increase the risk of cardiovascular and metabolic diseases, suppress the immune system, and contribute to psychological issues such as anxiety and depression. Effective management of PTSD through therapy, medications, and lifestyle changes are crucial to mitigate these long term effects. Okay? And this is why Dahlia Iris exists, guys. There are alternatives and ways that you can use the earth around you, things that grow from the way God intended, and we can use them to supplement our lifestyles where we can take in things that can help balance our internal systems and calm them so that we can be more productive and healthy for much longer time. Wishing you guys health and wellness, and I will talk to you later. So thank you guys very much. I appreciate your attentiveness, and I look forward to seeing you in another video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video with people that you believe this might be beneficial for. See you guys in the next video. Bye.